All right, so today we're going to be looking into the state of the cryptocurrency market, and a little bit like your history teacher would have said to you back in high school, that to understand the current state of any market or situation, you really need to understand the history of where it came from, what its foundations were originally to get started, what it's been through in the past. So basically, let's look at post 2017 and understand the timescale that we're looking at here is basically from the inception of Bitcoin in 2009 up until 2017. Before 2017, this market was really under the radar. Digital currencies, no one really understood what they were. People certainly wasn't using them to transact with each other. Most of what the industry was built on, unfortunately, I suppose, was illegal activity. People were buying illegal goods on the dark web. It was not seen as very traceable, even though today it's actually known that it's probably one of the most transparent ways of transacting, as you can actually see every single transaction that's on the blockchain, but people didn't really understand that back then. And it was really, basically supported by the dark web. We talked about previously in the previous podcast about the pizza purchase. I definitely got my maths completely wrong in that one. 10,000 Bitcoin back then would be worth probably about 140 million today, not 8.4 billion. Don't know where I got that one from. Sorry, guys, but clear that up now. And also, basically, it started to maybe around 2013 or so. You saw a lot of merchants come up. Some people were accepting online stores, were accepting Bitcoin for purchase of maybe of just, goods like a t-shirt or a merchant store or something like that. But you did see them starting to pop up on the online scene, not so much in store. But we'll tap on into the in-store soon. So that was pretty much post 2017. There wasn't really that much of a market out there, guys. There was a lot of behind the scenes dark web kind of stuff. And then 2017 came along, and this is what I would call the ICO phase, so the initial coin offering phase, and this is where all those insane projects were coming onto the market. You were seeing all these crazy ideas. Some of them were quite amazing. Some of them were absolute bollocks, so to speak. But you saw a lot of these coins being launched onto the market, and people started getting a real interest. It seemed like almost every day you'd wake up in the morning, or particularly for someone like myself who was involved with foreign exchange trading at the time, and cryptocurrency was a highly talked about industry. You really started to hear people talk about these projects which were just mind-blowing using blockchain technology. A famous one in Australia was Power Ledger. These are the projects that really took off the cryptocurrency industry, if you ask me. And that's where a lot of people started to get that FOMO. Bitcoin came from low $1,000 up into the $3,000. The next week it was up 5,000, 7,000, 20,000, by the end of 2017. It was a really crazy time, but it also brought a lot of attention to this market, and people started to see the underlying value, I suppose, of blockchain technology and how it actually can be used. So I suppose 2017 is a bit of a seesaw. There was, some bad things happening. Some scams were coming out. People were just launching coins because it was a loophole to raise funds. They weren't really considered security tokens, so you didn't have to go through the ASX to launch it. You could basically say that you were launching a utility token, just like when you go into an arcade and you win and you basically get these tokens. You exchange them for goods. It was really, I suppose, a loophole phase for fundraising, and that's where this market took off. Bitcoin was soaring up and a lot of attention was coming through. A lot of that got cleaned out in 2018, so we saw a complete pretty much wipeout of all those illegitimate coins. Only the top coins remained holding its value, and not even really. Like, everything pretty much took a massive hit, with Bitcoin pretty much more than half. It came down from 20,000 all the way down to about 4,000 or 5,000. Back up now in 2019, all the way to about 14,000 or so US at the top of 2019. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, so to speak. And now, sitting in 2019, we've kind of gone through that FOMO phase. A lot of that's cashed out now. people who are still in the industry completely understand the industry. They know what's available. They know what blockchain technology is. They know how to distinguish a good project from a bad project. They know how to do their research. A lot of, I suppose, the wild west is over. And now we're really faced with, the biggest, some people are even comparing Bitcoin to the current monetary system. It's a lot more transparent. It's got a much better storage of value than gold, some will argue. I think there's definitely benefits to both of them. But yeah, it's definitely putting its foot down, and it's showing that it's here to stay. So I suppose that just gives you a bit of a rundown of the history. As I said, bit of a roller coaster up until around 2017. It wasn't really known. Then it went through just crazy hype phase. Coming into 2018, a lot of that was really wiped off. And now in 2019, only really the real projects are being recognized, and the technology itself is actually being adopted. We saw earlier in this year, Facebook Coin cashing in, looking to start up their own Libra coin. If you ask anyone in the cryptocurrency industry, they won't agree with the properties of this coin, but nevertheless, you can see these bigger players, ready to get involved. They've been sitting on the sidelines for quite some time, but now they're putting their hands up and saying, well, we better not basically get left behind, and recognizing the true value of cryptocurrency. You can understand why they didn't want to get involved previously. There just wasn't enough legitimacy. There wasn't enough infrastructure. It was the wild west. Exchanges were getting hacked. Things weren't secure. But a lot of those issues are now being resolved, and we're seeing some really amazing things being built on that blockchain industry. So that's pretty much what I want to go through on this podcast. Just a quick one, giving a bit of an understanding to those of you that are new to it. As always, leave any comments and recommendations for next podcasts to come. We've got a lot of them coming through, explaining a bit more about mining. But yeah, basically that's everything for today, guys, and leave your comments below.